So, welcome to another exciting Coalition of Homeless Service Providers Board of Directors meeting. We'll jump right into this. So, we're called to order, and may I start with public comments? And please keep your comments to 2 minutes.
Hi, good morning. Wes White, Salinas, Monterey County Homeless Union co-president. Just checking in. I'm not sure exactly what happened to people on Carr Lake. I know a couple people I used to know aren't there anymore. Just really concerned about, the way between policy and practice. I'm hoping the governance committee really becomes a shining example of making that congruence transparent. And, just the way we do business. We spend an awful lot of money getting rid of people. We need running water and electricity. There's still nothing on the Salinas City Council agenda that I'm aware of for sanctioned encampment. That was kind of promised at the beginning of the year. It wasn't, it was the council members want it. It's the admin that's being the roadblock. So, and I know we're going through a city manager change, but still. It's been waiting for a long time, and I'm hoping that by using cars that we can, give people identification and immunity from sweeps, then that way they're just harmless. They're not homeless anymore. These are our community members that we've known. They're lifelong members. They expect to die here. Let's not let them die this way. Thanks.
Thank you, Wes. We appreciate your comments, and certainly policy and practice being aligned is a goal for all of us. Any other public comments? Okay, moving into chairperson comments, I'd like to welcome everyone, and we are on Zoom for the bulk of our audience, but Lauren and Jill are both here live, so I really appreciate people coming live as well. You are all invited to come to the coalition for this board meeting every month. MC Gives has just kicked off, and we have some very good advertising and marketing from members here. I challenge everyone who's in MC Gives to really track the progress, but also ensure that you highlight your unique contributions so we don't compete against one another. In addition, anyone who's not in MC Gives, I really encourage you to apply for that next year. If you need any tutorials, please see me or Katrina or Jill. We both have been experienced with this, and we'd be happy to help you with the application. The ED search continues. We are down to 2 candidates now. The final interviews will be Monday, the 21st. We expect to make an offer to a full-time ED very shortly thereafter. I also want to thank the coalition staff for all the work they've been doing in the gaps period with a full-time permanent ED. In particular, I want to thank Katrina McKenzie, who has really been doing not 1, not 2, but 3 jobs during the past few weeks. So we're very proud of what she's doing. She's kept the coalition on track, and again, we're just very, very pleased with all the work she's done. Moving on, do I have any additions or modifications to the agenda today? I have some very small, it's just speakers on the coalition updates, and it doesn't change the topic, so I'll introduce that when we get to it. So let's move on to member updates. Please keep your updates to 2 minutes, and we will start in reverse order today to keep you on your toes. So do I have YWCA of Monterey County? We will come back to the YWCA, DTC. We had a wall raising, a public wall raising for Light Fighter Village, which is the new affordable housing project being built on Hayes Circle in Marina. It was very well attended. The foundation's laid, the walls are going up, and we're still on track to open the units on January 2025. In addition, we are looking for a jobs coordinator for our transitional housing program, and VTC has started a capital campaign for ADUs. This is our big idea with MC Gives as well. So we're looking to start with 2 ADUs, which will both be ADUs designed for ADA people, specifically geriatric veterans. These will be put on VTC property on Hayes Circle. And that's it for VTC. Salvation Army, are you on?
Hey Kurt, John Bennett here. Sorry, it looks like I'm pretty dark, but yeah, we're back, and very thankful. Jennifer Miller has returned after for maternity leave, and we're very grateful to have her back with us right now. Also, there are places available in our housing program, so if you want to contact us for that, I've sent that many times. So, other than that, life is good, and we're continuing on. We're in the middle of Christmas season, and we just completed our Red Kettle kickoff yesterday, and so I'm kind of exhausted, but glad to be here with you all today.
Thank you, John. That's a great program. So good luck as the holidays kick off. San Benito HHS.
Okay, just a couple of updates. We have our HHAP input session tomorrow at 4 p.m. We hope to have a good turnout, and that's going to be tomorrow. We're in the process of planning our winter shelter program in 40 plus years. Last year was the first year that we didn't have the program because the units were not available. So we're moving forward. The state allowed us permission to use some of their facilities at the migrant center. It's going to start a little later than past years. It's usually starts on the 1st of December, but their program for ag housing is being extended, so it'll be available on the 23rd of December, and it'll go through the end of March. We're going to serve 20 families. Each of the families will pay a small rent, which at the end of the program will be provided back to them. We're ramping our street outreach efforts. I am happy to say that we have a full team now. Recruitment has always been challenging for some reason, so they've been going through training. They've been going out, recruiting, conducting outreach, doing referrals, and doing some dispatch assessments and such. The last thing that I wanted to update, we are right now, we had secured a property, and there's an existing home that's being rehabbed. We're going to use it for most likely for permanent supportive housing. It's supposed to be completed at the end of next month, and that's my update.
Thank you, Enrique. A lot going on there. And County Department of Social Services.
Me. Thank you. Lauren Suwansupa with Department of Social Services. Just a couple of updates as hopefully everybody's aware inclement weather season began November 1st. That is active. The significant change that's occurring this year is that the qualification for the weather conditions is now coming announced by the coalition. So we had a lot of confusion in the past years about using different weather apps and whether or not it was clear that it was inclement weather or not. We're going to clear that up through the communication as it comes out from the coalition to announce whether or not the conditions are met. And instead of just doing 2 regions, we've now added, there's 4 regions. So weather is being taken, assessed in 4 different regions of the community to just gather a better snapshot of weather conditions. So any questions on that, please reach out to the Homeless Services Analyst, Alex Soltero. The other pieces I wanted to just mention, we are actively working on the revisions for the 2024 Homeless Services Resource Guide. So please consider what listing you have in that guide. We'll be reaching out for updates so that we can publish a 2024 guide. Also wanting to do a reminder, DSS did announce that we did receive our housing support program allocation for the upcoming year. It was slightly reduced amount at just under $1.25 million. But again, this is an important resource for the community that provides not only rapid rehousing services, but also homeless prevention services for low-income families with children who are receiving CalWORK services. And then along with what Enrique mentioned, with HHAP, we are also engaged in community input sessions. We have a online-only sessions scheduled for the 27th for the community of Pacific Grove. That's available on the 27th at 2 p.m. That's Zoom only. And then on the 29th, we will be in person and on Zoom at the Soledad Community Center. That's at 6 p.m. And those are my updates.
And Lauren, could you send a link to the Housing Services Resource Guide to Katrina? We'll make sure everyone gets a copy.
Yeah, it's posted online. You should be able to see it on the website and see the 2023 guide.
Great.
And so if you see what's in there, that's what's being taken as the basis for the revisions for the next year. We are looking at some redesign changes. I'm taking some feedback from the community about ways that we can make it more user-friendly, more readable, easy to use on the fly. So if there's any suggestions on, simplifying the description of your service, please don't hesitate. We're very open to just making the guide easier to use and more accessible.
Excellent. If you would just send a link to all the
And Roxanne threw that in the chat too.
Put it all, yeah.
Way to go, Roxanne.
Perfect partner.
Excellent. Very important.
Yeah,
Good.
so the coalition is working in partnership with Monterey County to update the homeless resource guide.
Great. Thank you all very much. Mid-Penn Housing.
Good morning, everyone. I have no updates this month. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Meals on Wheels of the Monterey Peninsula.
Hi, good morning, Kurt. Thank you. We are knee-deep in the final touches of our 27th annual gala event, which is coming this Saturday. So I think we've all been there at some point, just planning, and getting ready for the event. And, promoting MC Gives, which you mentioned at the top, kind of in the meantime. So busy over here at Meals on Wheels. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. Interim.
Good morning, all. Sophia Kier here. Interim's annual Friendsgiving will be held this Friday, November 17th at 1 p.m. at 339 Pajaro Street in Salinas. Please spread the word to your constituents. All are welcome. And I wanted to give you a rundown of some of our programs. So McComb's Homeless Coalition funded HHAP 3 emergency shelter program was full, and we're busy working with all of those clients. Our general outreach program is also doing really well, with a lot of the emergency shelter placements that we have also being full, and our team is being out on the streets daily. For our HUD COC funded programs, our Shelter Plus Care program is also all leased up and full. We have a recent vacancy at Sandy Shores, and we're working with the Coalition Cars referral list, and we're interviewing applicants currently. We do have a long-term vacancy that's been at Moongate for our McHope program. It's been vacant for 14 weeks, which is definitely an issue. 3 of the referrals turned down the opportunity to live at Moongate when they went to visit the site due to their perceived notion of safety when they went to look at the units. And then the other issue that we've encountered is that we've exhausted all the referrals off the master list. So we're waiting for the coalition to send us referrals as they get new people who are diagnosed with a serious mental illness who also meet Moongate's criteria to move in. And I know that the CARS overhaul is on here, so it's definitely something that needs to happen.
Interfaith Outreach of Carmel.
Barbara Dickinson with Interfaith Outreach of Carmel. I was just going to say that we're excited to participate in the Sunrose apartment opening, and then with the Schumann Hart House, and are just glad to see all of the progress that's being made with so many of the agencies. We have this Sunday, we have our Celebration of Gratitude, which is a service at the Carmel Mission. It's interfaith, and there will be some agencies and also some faith ministers that are talking about gratitude and housing. And if any of you would like to come, we'd love to have you. It's at 2 p.m. at the Mission, and their choir, as well as the community Peninsula Gospel Choir, will be there, and it's all about gratitude. And let's see what else. Oh, at the end of that, we will announce the total amount of the grants that we'll be giving this year. And also, we're searching for board members if anyone knows of anyone. So thank you so much.
Gathering for Women.
Good morning. Just a couple things. We had our very large Clinica de Salud van here yesterday. I didn't say ginormous again deliberately, but I'm going to say it anyway. So that was great. So that's the second time they've been here. Very well received. We also relaunched our equine healing collaborative group that goes out once a week, which is very exciting. And that will go for the next 11 weeks into the new year. And Tuesday, we're having our annual Thanksgiving lunch with open-faced turkey sandwiches, and everyone is really looking forward to that. That's all I have for right now.
Thank you very much, Stacy. Hackham.
We are working to issue out all of the vouchers for the HCV program. We have 400 people still on our waiting list from 2020, so we're hoping to close that out at least by the end of January. For the EHV vouchers, we have issued 245 of the 269, so we have 24 spaces still available. But out of those 24, we do have 13 rafters that we got to go inspect. So if those pass, we'll have 11 spaces left to have filled by the end of the year. And we have over 100 people out searching, so that shouldn't be a problem. For our VASH program, the team attended some training on yesterday, because we have 324 vouchers for VASH, and right now we've issued 267. So they attended a HUD training just to get more knowledgeable, because we got some new staff, so that we could try to expedite getting those other 57 vouchers housed for the VASH program. And other than that, we're just really working on trying to get utilization up for the HCV program as a whole. We have 4,900 vouchers, and we're at 3,700 that have been housed.
Very impressive numbers. Thank you very much for that. I know Dorothy's Place is here.
Good morning, everyone. Dorothy's Place will be having its traditional Thanksgiving luncheon on Thanksgiving Day next Thursday. It's a traditional dinner meal made from scratch. We're very, very grateful to have such wonderful donors in the community that bring us everything that we need to make that luncheon, and also the more than 100 volunteers that are going to come volunteer to prepare the luncheon and serve that day. The hours of service are from noon to 2 p.m. Families are welcome. We're at 30 Soledad Street, and we definitely make meals to go for people that want to come in and take a meal out with them, or a number of meals for their families. So please advise your consumers, your clients, to take us up on that. Also, I can announce we have 2 open community health worker positions. The job descriptions are on our website, so you can check them out there. And everything else is going just smoothly and trotting along. So nothing else to report. Everybody have a wonderful week.
Thank you, Jill. And going back to downtown streets.
We're trying something new with fundraising this year, and that is we're hosting a bingo night at the Salinas Park and Play every Monday evening. Starts at 6. It's 333 South Main in Salinas. And if you are into bingo, go check it out. It is an absolute super fun time. And proceeds go for Monday evening bingo go to Downtown Streets team. And then if you go Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, proceeds go to the Food Bank of Monterey County. So it's definitely early days, but just wanted to share that here. Also wanted to share that Downtown Streets team is undergoing some model changes, and I can do a deeper presentation later, but the highlights are that we are delinking our basic needs stipends with participation. And so what is happening now is that folks that are, it's purely volunteer, so we're still doing the debris pickup, we're still doing the syringe pickup around town, we're still providing case management, but our shifts are now going to be led by part-time paid employees that are employed through Downtown Streets team. And so we have now essentially a stronger pipeline to full-time employment for our team members. And so it's starting out still with our volunteer model, Monday through Friday, picking up garbage and syringes around town. Then the next step is what we're calling Streets Team Enterprises, still under the Downtown Streets Team umbrella, but through STE, we're offering part-time paid positions at $17 and $19 an hour, depending on the position. And the idea, and folks that are employed through STE are still receiving case management from our case managers. So we've been piloting in San Francisco, Modesto, and we just started in Salinas early October. And so I'll share more about how things are going, and I can, again, do a deeper dive and a longer presentation, but just wanted to let everyone know here that essentially we are just a firm volunteer model, which also means that folks that are volunteering and receiving stipends, they're going to cap out at that $600 level. They can still participate. That doesn't mean they have to leave the program, but we are capping the stipends at $600 for a calendar year. And then my final update is that with our rapid rehousing program, we have been partnering a lot over the past couple of months with Housing for Kids, and they have connected us with folks at the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District. And so we are starting to have more of a focus on housing families. And so that is a little bit different than kind of what we were doing last year with our rapid rehousing program. So I wanted to share that here as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Some very good work and very exciting projects there. Let's move on to Community Human Services.
So our programs are going very well. Our street outreach program is doing good. We do have positions that we're hiring for still some shelter monitors and 2 street outreach counselors, one for Monterey Peninsula and the other one for Salinas Valley. Our youth shelter has been filling up every night, so we've been doing good. Again, it's first come, first serve, so if you have anyone, let them know. Make sure that they line up a little bit before 7 o'clock. We do have a lineup line now that goes into the driveway, so they're not all on the sidewalk. For Casa, also for Safe Place Salinas, we're still continuing to search for a facility, so that's still in the works for our drop-in center. That hopefully we'll be able to get that up and running soon. For Casa Nochebuena, we've had a family of 5 move into permanent supportive housing last week. We also have a family of 2 that was approved for permanent housing with the EHP voucher, and they'll be moving in the first week of December. A single female who's been the hardest to house. She was actually approved for permanent housing and moved in over the weekend. So we've got a couple open spots for families. We've got 1, 2, I think we've got 3 open rooms for families that we're hoping to fill in at least 2 by the end of this week. And we have 4 single beds available for women that we've got intake scheduled for as well. And we have Gathering for Women has scheduled for Michelle's Soul Food to cater for Thanksgiving for Casa Nochebuena. And then Bob Sadler is coming back on this Saturday to bring back the photos that were taken of the families. And I believe the Junior League will be doing a frame decorating as well. And for Schumann Heart House, we had 2 great events. Our donor event and our ribbon cutting and open house were a huge success and very well attended. I believe for our ribbon cutting, we had, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shauna Robin, close to 300 people attend. Very, very busy. It was very, very well supported. It was great. And then we opened our doors on Tuesday, November 7th. We're all very excited. And on our opening night, we didn't have as many admitted that we hoped. We did admit 1 person. We've had a lot of no-shows. We've had some people change their mind. We have admitted a total of 5 single women since opening. And with families, it's been a little harder to get them in. We've got 2 scheduled, and this week, and I believe 1 on Monday. So hopefully those beds will be filled before Thanksgiving. Again, if anyone is needing to get on our wait list, they need to contact Casa de Nochebuena, 867-8200 to get on our wait list. We have been going back, I believe, from 2022, we've been going down our list, and people, they're not answering. We're leaving voicemails and then just continuing to move along our list so we can fill those beds before the holidays. There's still things here and there that we've seen we need to figure things out at Schumann, but everything is doing great. The ladies we've got here, they've been very, they're very happy with everything. They're satisfied with the cook. We've got our food service coordinator making the hot meals for them. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything else.
Evangelina, it's Robin.
Hey, Robin.
You want to give a plug for your basic needs drive so people can contribute if they'd like?
Oh, yes, thank you. So we do have a basic needs drive coming up for the winter, where we're going to be collecting winter items and then just the basic needs that we may need for our youth programs, as well as some of our other homeless service programs. Those bins we're going to have at different locations. Once the flyer comes out, we'll share it with everyone. They'll be here on the peninsula as well as Salinas Valley. So keep a lookout for that.
Do you have an event on the 19th?
We do, Barbara. Thank you. One of our former board members and her friends are organizing a tag sale of gently used luxury clothing and accessories at the Barnyard. It's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and we'll accept credit cards or cash or check, and it's all to benefit Casa de Noche Buena.
Yes, thank you. What is it called? The
tag sale.
Tag sale. Okay. I thought I started with the beach.
It's in the community room of the Barnyard.
Diesel?
We are getting a lot of demand for services, so we are opening 2 additional case managers positions to meet the demand for services. We're getting about 100 referrals a week from different partners to complete course assessments or referrals to housing authority or housing search. So we're really busy. So if you know any of you consumers that have some experience and are looking for a job, let us know. The open positions are on the website. Again, it's due to that really high demand that we're opening and 2 additional case manager positions at CISO. And that's it.
Yeah, Tisa's next.
I don't have too much to report. We're finishing up our East Garrison apartments and starting to lease them.
I would like to add something, if you don't mind. I'm not a member, but I would like to share.
Sure, Roxanne, go ahead.
Oh, let me turn on my camera. Sorry about that, guys. The county was recently awarded a Path-Cited grant, and as a part of that grant, we are now going to hire a limited-term employee under my division to help with strategic planning. So wish me luck. I'll be recruiting soon as that job description is finalized, and we'll be reaching out to the coalition to help distribute. That's all. Thank you.
So, on behalf of the City of Salinas, I'm happy to make a short presentation to you regarding the city's homeless services and initiatives, potentially making some recommendations or suggestions on things that we'd like to do. So, to start off with, I'd like to talk a little bit about the city's funding and administration. The city has a variety of funding sources that we use for these grants, and most of them revolve around state and federal funding. We are a HUD federal entitlement jurisdiction, which means that we receive several different buckets of grants directly from the federal government and work with the Region 9 staff in San Francisco to deliver. Everybody, or I hope most people, are familiar with Emergency Solutions Grant. That's the typical funding source for homeless services in local jurisdictions in California. We also utilize our Community Development Block Grant to assist with funding of our street outreach and response team and other initiatives, as well as community facility projects and contracted public services that are allowed. Because we are an entitlement jurisdiction, we do benefit from being a recipient of the Home American Rescue Plan Act funding. This is a one-time funding source that goes for multiple years, and it has discretion to be used for the development of affordable housing projects or for homeless services. And it requires you to submit a plan to the federal government to outline, based upon significant community input and engagement, of what you'd like to use your funds for. And so the city executed that some time ago. We have targeted this funding primarily to support support the home key operations for the city's match requirement, but there is some additional monies in there for housing development and other uses as well. We do also at the City of Salinas serve as the administrative entity for the state's ESG continuum of care allocation. And we are also the administrative entity for the California Emergency Solutions and Housing Grant, which is CHHAP. So some of the competitive grants, I've given updates periodically over the years regarding the city seeking grants and getting awarded, and this is just a quick slide to provide an overview. The city has benefited from several home key awards. We've been awarded in every round of home key at this point. We have 3 active projects moving forward with renovations at various stages. The one that is closest to occupancy would be the Fairview project, and we're hoping that's moving forward quickly. There's been some hiccups with construction and some title changes. It's been logistically challenging dealing with both HUD and the state in regard to retaining or seeking to use vouchers and also making sure the ducks are in a row. But we're continuing to plug away because right now those 3 projects represent over 200 rooms of permanent supportive housing to come online. The city's also been awarded encampment resolution funding from Cal ICH, which is another vein of the state government. We have an original encampment resolution grant for the Natividad Creek Park area. We were just awarded another $8.1 million for the Upper Carr Lake area. And so those projects are moving forward. It's interesting for these grants that the round 2 funding did not provide any resolution or remediation funding. So whereas round 1 provided supports for you to return public property back to its original intent, the round 2 funding is leaving that responsibility and funding to the jurisdiction. It's simply a pathway for encampment residents to find a housing navigation model and permanent housing. Also along the Cal ICH vein, we were awarded a Family Homeless Challenge grant. And in this grant, the city proposed and was one of the, I think there's less than 20 jurisdictions in the state awarded this funding. We proposed a single family acquisition model. And so that has been moving forward, and it also involves the potential addition of accessory dwelling unit homes so that you can further add to the stock of affordable housing under the grant. And then we recently received notice from the state of their intent to award us for a home key round 3 in partnership with Bay Area Community Services. This is for another single family home model. And I believe that award is just over $8 million at this point. This slide just gives a demonstration of our partnerships with the local homeless serving communities. Many of these entities are involved in all of the city's initiatives, including the grants that I just talked about, as well as the ongoing delivery of public services. For me, this is a really great slide because it just shows how many people are working on the issue and doing it in a concerted way with a single objective of trying to focus on Lead Me Home Plan objectives and bring down our housing numbers, our homeless numbers as much as possible. One of the things that really I take the most pride in, I think, within the city's homeless services is that we have our own Salinas outreach and response team. These people are probably, they deserve so much more credit than they probably receive. They are boots on the ground. They are interacting with encampments. They are facilitating services with other providers. They are relentless and they have positive achieving attitudes. And we couldn't be prouder of how this team has grown to include those with lived experience. And we continue to support them and want them to exceed. They have great values, including housing first, trauma-informed care, motivational interviewing, supportive collaboration, and advocacy. And they really do seek in spite of what people may think, the citywide outreach and engagement falls on this team as a whole. So they are all over the city's wide range. They actively engage and promote shelter and housing navigation opportunities. They provide some case management. They provide transportation assistance and emergency resources and supports. The city also maintains a homeless services information line at the number at the bottom of the screen. This is sometimes picked up by staff, but it is primarily a warm information line, so anybody can call seeking assistance and staff will call them back, or people can leave information if they have a concern or would like some other information. The city's health and safety days. So the city of Salinas employs a health and safety day framework to focus on many of the encampments within its jurisdiction. The city's approach is to focus on access to available services and supports while also seeking to remediate any health and safety issues at an individual encampment that's on public property. Along with this framework, we seek to provide a minimum 14 days of outreach prior to any health and safety day activity at an encampment site. And that, I have to say, is that 14 days of really focused, intensive outreach. But I do want to stress that there is an ongoing interaction with the SORT team at most, if not all, of the encampments within the city. It also seeks to build upon our street outreach and response teams' prior ongoing outreach and connections with the encampments. So we want people to be informed. We want them to be prepared. We want them to provide resources and access to supports that will help them on a pathway to a more livable environment and housing. And we, above all, seek to leverage collaborative partnerships with partners and providers to effectively connect the residents with those resources. So if we don't necessarily have the resource, we do seek a partner that may have that, or a service provider that we can support in some way to help move people to housing. Another initiative that the city has a pretty robust model on is emergency shelter and housing navigation. So in the city's homeless services platform, we run a 40-unit emergency motel program. Many of you may know this as it began with Project Room Key, and then it kind of evolved once Room Key went away to a more robust shelter and navigation model with an expectation of case management and participation of people that are being housed in the motel program. And it's been quite successful. We look at this as kind of a pipeline program from encampment to emergency shelter with housing navigation to hopefully permanent housing. We also fund the Chinatown Navigation Center. This is in the Chinatown area. It has a large sprung structure, which you'll see in the middle photograph, and RVs that were donated to the city during the COVID pandemic. We are currently targeting this facility, the main facility, I guess you could say, not the sprung, for a significant renovation. I'm sure Community Homeless Solutions is looking forward to that renovation, as are we, to include remodeling of the bathroom, painting, and sprucing up. The city recently renewed its 10-year lease for the facility, so we plan to be there for quite a while. And then the bottom left is a photo of the Share Center. I'm sure most of us are aware of the Share Center. This is a partnership that the city has, a very fruitful and robust partnership under an MOU for joint funding of the operations of this facility, over 100 beds in the facility, providing navigation and a housing first model. So this requires the city and the county to regularly engage with the provider Bay Area Community Services and troubleshoot on a number of different things. But we're very pleased to have this resource in the community and moving people forward. The city also wants to point out its efforts in permanent supportive housing. And so as I previously mentioned, we have the Home Key grants that we've received. In total, the three original rounds, we were afforded $29.5 million to provide those initial 200 units. The most recent grant will add, could potentially add another $8 million to the mix, with the purchase of potentially 8 to 10 single-family residents within the city of Salinas to provide sort of an individualized co-living model. That's what the grant proposed. Our Family Homeless Challenge is a $5.2 million award that would come in 2 rounds of funding. This is a scattered site, single family acquisition model targeted for families. The original application is 5 homes plus the addition of ADUs, renovations, a care coordination model to be delivered by our partner Bay Area Community Services, and just to help alleviate some of the, and this is also a spread throughout all areas of the city model as well. The city also uses its Housing Successor Agency funds, otherwise known as HSA, and our HUD entitlement funds for other projects, and the most notable being our partnership with Interim on their Sunrose Apartments complex. This is a great project for permanent supportive housing. These types of projects are exactly what our community needs, and I encourage other jurisdictions to explore opportunities to work with Interim in this capacity. So under my purvey, under my former position, I was tasked with all homeless services and affordable housing development. So I did want to, and they are intricately intertwined. And so I just wanted to take a moment to kind of touch on this. And it is also relevant to the Coalition's Housing Pipeline Committee. The City of Salinas, our council made a conscious decision to prioritize homelessness and affordable housing. And in doing so, when the city received its nearly $50 million ARPA allocation, they allocated $7 million immediately to the development and acquisition of affordable housing within the city. So we have targeted these funds towards single-family home acquisition, promoting and acquiring properties in our Chinatown area so that we could move towards mixed-use revitalization in that neighborhood. And for those that don't understand mixed use, that's just generally perceived as commercial and retail on the ground and housing above. We are also targeting this funding to acquire a small 26-unit motel within the city, the El Rey Motel. And we are currently looking at what we might do with this project, kind of keeping it in our back pocket to see what funding we might get to help revitalize or expand or transition and rehabilitate the model. But we definitely want to add this to our affordable housing portfolio and are seeking to at least bring in that minimum of 25 housing units there. The city has been designated by the state as a pro-housing jurisdiction. This recognizes the way that the city plans its housing and has established policies and processes that would promote the development of affordable housing and housing production in general within the jurisdiction. The city was one of, I believe, about 15 jurisdictions and the only Central Coast jurisdiction initially awarded. Because we received the designation, we were entitled to receive a $1.65 million grant, and the city has allocated that funding towards production of affordable housing as well as a down payment assistance program for families that we're currently seeking to develop. The city's had several multifamily development projects in the mix, and I just listed those. The 855 East Laurel is a city, county, and Eden housing project. This is for a 132-unit project on county property that is adjacent to the Share Center. Eden is the developer, and the city and county are supporting through the entitlement process and funding mechanisms, and this project is moving forward really nicely. We enjoy working with Eden and the county on this, and we just can't wait till it opens up. Hopefully, in a few years. It does take that amount of time. We're also looking forward to St. George Apartments. This is something sponsored through CHSP. They're working with our current planning staff on a subdivision, and once that moves forward, we think this project will just scoot along. And so this is a smaller complex designed for senior occupants. The next one we have in planning is a large multi-story kind of a mixed-use of sorts development on East Market Street. It would just be to the south of Highway 101 as you look down Market Street, because the highway sits a little bit above. This is a project that would involve a Pajaro CDC culinary incubator in the ground floor, as well as a mix of affordable housing units on a 100% affordable project. I believe there's 80 units projected in this opportunity, and it seems to be making its way through our planning process and should be moving out towards applying for CTAC credits, which is necessary for any development pretty much these days, and some other partnerships. As I spoke of before, Sunrose Apartments, we're very happy to see that that has moved towards occupancy and completion. And then a little bit more in the past would be the Parkside 1 development. That was developed in partnership with the Housing Authority of the County of Monterey. That's also a 80-unit kind of a pre-modular build multi-story complex that has kind of changed that street that it's on. And we're looking forward to potentially the second tower going up at some point, but there are still some kinks that need to be worked out with that project. I did also want to point out that the city was very successful recently with its application to the state for the Local Housing Trust Fund. This afforded, the city was a new trust fund awardee, and we will end up with having a housing trust fund of $8.3 million. These projects, this application requires you to include assets or proposed projects that are in your pipelines for moving forward, and then you value those projects, and then the state seeks to provide matching funds. And then you can also apply for some discretionary funding that you can use on future projects of your choice. So our identified projects were for Chinatown mixed-use revitalization projects. So we have a large parcel that we purchased on one end of Chinatown that we're looking into. We received a recent grant from AMBAG to execute a significant remediation in terms of environmental assessment on that property. And we're just really targeting that project for some type of housing and mixed-use development that fits with the neighborhood. And then Division Street. This is just off of Market Street and Sanborn Road intersection in the city of Salinas. This is a project that's been in the works for a while. And we are looking forward to moving forward with the Housing Authority of the County of Monterey just after the new year to develop an exclusive negotiating rights agreement with the city's properties that were included in the application, and hopefully moving forward with an intended affordable housing project. To end off with, I guess I want to talk a little bit about the city's opportunities in this realm. With all of the activities that I've recently talked about, we have a number of positions that are coming available, including my former position as the division or planning manager for housing and homelessness. Many of these opportunities that you see here are posted on the city's website. I can be contacted if anybody has any questions or wants to recommend anybody. I'm looking for your support if you can offer it. It really does provide a wide range of opportunities, both on limited term capacity and in the permanency pieces. I do want to point out that limited term typically revolves around a minimum of 2 years. And in many of these opportunities, it is 3 years. And that many of the limited term staff often convert to permanency once we find a more robust funding stream, or we get different allocations from our council.
But I was wondering if you could speak to the local housing trust fund effort with the city, and to your knowledge, if there's any capacity in the future to turn that into a regional housing trust fund.
I'll never say never. So, I want to first and foremost state that I would implore any agency or any partner that's looking, that has an idea on how to work within the homeless services realm or affordable housing, to reach out to me. I'm happy to discuss any ideas and look for opportunities. They're regularly floating across email. And so sometimes it's just about having the right conversations at the right time, and then being prepared to act or actually planning to act on future pieces. So I think the city doesn't close the door on anything in regard to local housing trust fund. We actually have probably new projects. I've heard that there's going to be another round of funding next year. So we already have a few projects that we think that we might want to push forward. I don't know, in terms of regional, the city's been involved in some regional applications before that weren't quite as successful. But we would certainly be willing and open to that. We did benefit from, having some active partnerships and projects in our pipeline. And also, it's a complicated application. We did benefit from having a consultant come on board to really herd the cats. I think our application ended up being over 200 pages long with all the documents that were required to justify the assets that you're putting in and everything else. But it really is a representative opportunity for you to just get that extra push of money to fund things like pre-development or to step in with gap funding later down the road in a development. It really is useful. I hope that answers the question.
It does. Thanks so much.
Many of you may be familiar with this presentation, as I just did it to the supervisor, or to the homelessness committee with Lauren. So anyway, thank you for this opportunity to share some information about how AB 129 has had impacts on the Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Program. I do recognize that there are some folks on this call who may have never heard of this funding stream, so welcome. It is a HHAP Round 5 is a $1 billion grant program through Cal ICH, which Rod was talking about earlier. And Cal ICH is a branch of the Business Consumer Services and Housing Department of the state of California. The eligible applicants are the 44 continuums of care within the state, the 14 large cities and that have 300,000 people or more living within their jurisdictions, and the 58 counties. So AB 129 impacts the coalition and both the counties of San Benito and county of Monterey. As you can see, it has been incredibly difficult for us to estimate how much the state is going to allocate to our different jurisdictions. And I do apologize, I don't have San Benito County's numbers up on this because, as I mentioned, this is the presentation from the Monterey County Board Committee. But anyway, you will see that in 2023, the new RFP had come out. There's another $1 billion that was put into that funding stream. However, we have not had our allocations announced. The allocations are going to be announced at the end of January once HUD publishes the final point-in-time counts for, I believe, this year. There is a whole slew of eligible uses that could be used for this funding stream. However, there is some language within there saying that these, although you can use it for these things, they do have priorities at the state. So we're still learning every single day exactly what that priorities mean, but I'm sure we'll have more information for you guys in the upcoming months as the state clarifies a lot of language on their NOFA. Oh, I also just wanted to point out that there is a 10% use set aside that has been fairly consistent throughout all of the HHAP rounds. There is a 7% administrative cost. I have been working with many partners across the state to advocate for that administrative cost to go up for HHAP administrators, because the amount of work that goes into these applications is like quadrupling with every single round. And this year there is some language in there about there being an additional 1% that could be used for HMIS lead agencies for our COC. Of course, that is the coalition. We do have an ask out to the state right now. Is it additional, like it says inside of the RFP, or is this 1% that can come out of the local allocation? So as soon as that question is answered, we will announce that to you as well. Also, the reason why they're pulling out this 1% for HMIS is because there is another assembly bill, I believe it's AB 977, where the coalition is also being significantly impacted. And that is because HMIS is becoming a requirement for many state grants. So any of the fundees from that receive those funds will have to put their clients inside of HMIS. Just for context, when I was doing HMIS coordination for the coalition many years ago, we only had 85 users, and right now I believe we're at about 200. And we still only have one person in our community that's working on HMIS. So we expect that to increase even more, the number of users. This is all we have for the timeline so far. The application came out on September 29th. We, again, won't know about the allocations until January 31st. We will have to have the completed package submitted by March 27th, and that sounds like a long time, but wait until I tell you what we got to do and to meet that deadline. And then we would hear back probably after June on what if Cal ICH and HCD has approved our application. I'll explain the HCD part in a minute. One of the biggest things that you have probably noticed is the coalition has worked with both of the counties to do a series of community input sessions. The first one that we had was at the Salinas, at the Lead Me Home Summit, and that was incredibly successful. By the end of the day, we had I think 80 participants in the survey. We also had one in Monterey. The next ones we have, I'll show you the flyers in a minute, is in Pacific Grove, and we have one coming up in Soledad. But regardless, the engagement is important. We have, they have recommended many different representations of stakeholders that we need to engage with. So we will be reaching out to partners as we start determining exactly who those are. We've also been doing these mini input sessions. So if your organization is interested in the counties and the coalition working with your clients and staff to do a mini input session, please let us know. This right here is the bulk of the work. Those community input sessions are supposed to help us inform a regionally coordinated plan. So we, as the County of Monterey, have to do 3 input sessions. County of San Benito County, has to do 3 input sessions. The coalition has to do it with both. So we did the first one as a joint one with all 3 of us. And now the County of Monterey has 2 more, and then San Benito has 2 more, and the coalition will then have a total of 5. In the Regionally Coordinated Action Plan, it's supposed to help us identify the roles and responsibilities for all of the goals that we do set forth. This is very similar to our Lead Me Home plan. They will take a snapshot of our system performance measures. For those of you guys who do not know, the coalition has to upload HMIS data into the state's HDIS data warehouse, and they then spit back some system performance measures. It's usually just a little bit off from the ones that we submit to HUD, but nonetheless, they're fairly close. So they'll take a snapshot of our system performance measures, and then we have to come up with an action plan so we can improve those system performances. They will also take a snapshot of how we are, what the racial disparities look like in our community, and we will have to come up with recommendations to improve racial disparities and close that gap. They are asking us to come up with key actions to reduce exits to homelessness from institutions. So we will be working with jails and hospitals, prisons, foster care, everybody to figure out what's going on and how can we make it a little bit better. It's ironic because all of this is going to cost way more money than our allocation is actually worth. But I think the intention is for us really to just take a minute and pause and look at what our system, what our gaps in our system is, and just for us to start thinking about steps we can take, actionable steps we can take to fix it.
And then there's also, we have to develop a plan on how we're going to connect individuals to supportive services. And as you can see, there is a very long list of the supportive services, the public benefits that are being offered. And we, as the two counties and the COC, have to come up with a plan to improve those connections. And then finally, there has to be an MOU between us and the coalition. It's interesting because it does talk about, it has to come inside of the MOU. It's basically draws out the roles and responsibilities of both the county and the coalition. But our question is do we have to do it as a region with both counties and the coalition, or does the coalition have to enter into two? So these are pending questions that we have out to the state right now. The state, I don't know how much of you guys know this, but Genevieve and I actually started working on an MOU quite a few months ago, and we took a pause because we knew that AB 129 was also going to require an MOU. So we do have the bulk of that drafted. I would say we're probably at about 95%. I'm going to stop sharing right now, but we do have an ask out for the state to clarify if we're missing anything, because the NOFA is really not clear. It literally just says that we will both commit to complying with the regionally coordinated action plan. That's it. So there is more to come. Oh, I'm sorry. There's actually one last thing I did want to share with you. Well, actually, Katrina will send, someone from the coalition will send it out. It's the flyers for the community input sessions. So that's the bulk of what's going on right now. But there's a lot, and in county time specifically, 3 months is not very much time for us to get through everything that needs to happen. So I'm very grateful for Kirsten, who has been very helpful at the coalition. Of course, Katrina, and we're all working very, very hard to meet this goal. And that's the end of my report.
Next, we'll move on to the coalition update. So,
I just want to quickly update you on HHAP 4. The vendor received in August about $1.5 million, and the RFP is currently in draft and being reviewed by Elaine. So Kristen was working on that, and we're in hopes to have the RFP draft to the week that comes for approval in December. Right now, it's a really rough draft timeline. We have the application waiting in March, and it's already there. There's a lot of dates all the way through April and May. We'll finalize these and then get them out to the rest of the board. So the eligible activities are kind of mirrored to CHP 5. Thinking about the housing, operating subsidies, free outreach, and so forth. There wasn't many changes from HHAP 3 to 5, so it's pretty much good. Moving on to our coordinated empty overhaul, we are in contact with home base, and we started that in October. It's about time that we started our overhaul, meaning that we launched coordinated entry in 2022. So right now, they're reviewing all of their policies and procedures, and we'll start the evaluation of our contingent care system. We want to start to put together a work group that comprises the providers, government, and those with experience to give their feedback on the process, the coordinated entry process. We'll be holding community input sessions in December to talk about the framework and the evaluation. So, like our goals as a community, what kind of research questions we want to ask in our focus areas. Come spring of 2024, the initial evaluation findings will be shared with the coalition and then to the community, really around the recommendations and improvement and implementation of that. So that feedback will come from home bases, evaluations, the work group, and the input section that will be taking place through December. So everyone learned over the inclement weather information engagement partnership with the County of Monterey to ensure that the community is aware of inclement weather conditions. So we'll be notifying the community. We're working with the shelter providers to ensure that we create an emergency plan prior to inclement weather. So if you're a shelter provider and haven't been in contact with me, then please let's get in contact so that we get full participation from all of our shelter providers. So in the event of emergency, we can use contact and please how we can get people off of the street and into shelters during the inclement weather. That runs through March 31st, 2024. And the point in time. So we did launch our point in time committee in October. North is taking the lead on that right now. The committee has decided that it will be January 31st, that's a Wednesday. We are in contact with Applied Survey Research, who has been doing our spreadsheet since the beginning. The community has been using with various, ASR and HHAP have been using with various communities throughout the community to solicit participation in identifying encampments and volunteers. So we'll have the volunteer link out shortly within this month and start ramping up to hit the street and they're going to do
the HHAP 4, is that coming out in next year, or is it already a done deal because the dates were listed as 2023?
So HHAP 4, the funds are in hand, and we are pursuing the RFP right now. So we're looking for 2024. So we are in draft mode with the RFPs have not been released. So the public notice period, the business conference, the letter of intent, the application, length of review, leadership, council approval, all of those things are to be determined at the moment. But our goal is to have the RFP completed before we leave the country.
Okay, thank you.
I heard a lot of feedback about round 3 being very unclear, so I would like to talk to you guys offline about some of the feedback that I had heard. I personally didn't compete or anything, so I don't know what the experience was like, but I just would like to share some information with you guys and Elaine on some of the confusing parts of round 3. And then the second comment or question that I have is, do you guys have the flyer out for the point in time count volunteers? Because our supervisors are asking for it, and they have a huge reach on their platforms, and they would like to start sending that information out as well. And I do believe there are some cities too that's asking for it because they want to participate more meaningfully in the pit this year or this upcoming year.
Thanks, Roxanne. We don't have the flyer at the moment, so we're working on it as soon as possible. And then I'll make sure that everyone can.
Thank you so much. Our calendars are getting packed already for January, so as soon as you guys have it, let me know. Thanks.
I was on the video phone on this first hour, when after that, we provided significant amount of feedback that recognized that the things that we provided at the feedback, so one thing was the there's additional
that conversation is fair, and we want to make sure that is what we're going to have this special conversation. I wonder if you don't think I just was trying to support Roxanne the conversation about providing some feedback to HHAP 3's RFP process.
Did you guys pick a day for the pit yet? And are we doing it over 2 days? Has HUD approved 2 days?
I did not approve 2 days, and I'm so sorry that you guys missed that update. The community has sat on, decided on Wednesday, January 31st, and it's a 1-day stop. Like, yeah.
I'm not on that committee. Can I please join?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, it is 10:25. We will end this part of the meeting, but I'm sure you're waiting for the awards from the member updates. So the award for the quickest update goes to Mid-Pen, 2 seconds. And the word of the month, it was really close. Ginormous with Gathering for Women is the runner-up, but Interim's Friendsgiving is the word of the month. So congratulations to our winners.